Yeah. So,
Yeah, you can start.
so we can start.
Yeah.
Welcome to another episode of Dialogue Corner. Today we're sitting with Mr. Sekonomics from the Economics Department. The plan is always clear. Is to learn, unlearn, and relearn. So there are certain things we've normalized in society. Things like taxes, credit score. Yet we never ask where it's coming from and who created such things. So the whole point or the whole lesson that you should take from this episode is that we have SARS who are collecting taxes, yet we don't know who came up with the idea of SARS, and then why is government even collecting taxes when they can print more money. So Mr. Sekong will help us understand in details in terms of why are those things there and why do they exist as a proper structure. Mr. Sekong, maybe before we even get to the topic, can you help us maybe a little bit of background in terms of where you come from and who are you?
Okay, my name is Mashapa Sekome, and I've been teaching economics for the past 17 years. Economics undergraduate. I taught in, I think, 3 universities.
Yes.
This is the 4th one now. With the University of Zululand, yes. So I've been teaching economics, and I'm also teaching teachers, so training trainers, and it's the economics all the way.
Okay, so in the 4 universities, different provinces.
Yeah, the other ones in Gauteng, and then
Okay, so why is government collecting taxes when they can print money?
Yeah, I think before you even say why government collect taxes, we need to understand that we've got different types of goods. So some goods you can buy, like the coffee you have in your hands now. You can just buy it and drink it. But some other ones you can't. Things like university, you cannot go and say, no, let me buy this university, or things like road or street lights. Those ones, we need them. Especially at night, we need street lights. But you cannot go and buy them, because if we buy them, then everyone is going to use them. And now they are not going to pay for that. So therefore, government needs to buy them for us. So in order to buy them, they need to collect tax from us. So by so doing, we are actually buying it ourselves, because they are just taking money from us, buying those things for us.
So you're mentioning the services that are supposed to be funded by the taxes that are collected.
Yes.
Okay.
Now you understand that.
Okay.
So the tax that they are collecting it here is not, it's just to say, it's not government paying those, it's us paying those. It's just doing it on our behalf. Yes.
Okay, so the idea of printing money, so if they can print money, why don't they just print more money and then make sure that they do those services?
Well, if they want, they can do that. But you see, the whole topic of economics is about scarcity. We're trying by all means to make our money to be as scarce as possible. So if they keep on printing money, then our money is not going to be scarce. And obviously, we learn from our neighbors, because Zimbabwe is where it is now because of printing money. They had access to the printer, and then they printed a lot of money, and then now they are there where they are now. They find themselves there. So you see, this issue of making your money to be scarce, you make it to be rare, so that people can value it.
So they can fight for it.
Yeah, they can fight for it.
Each other for it.
Yes, think of that water that you have in that bottle. And if you look at that water, you will see that there's a lot of water. I think it's about half a liter of water. But how much do you pay? Probably pay 15 rand or 20 rand. But think of gold. That is that size. How much you're going to get? Probably you're going to get millions. Now you ask yourself, why? Why? The reason is because water you can get it anywhere, but gold you can't. Gold is rare. But now, if gold becomes readily available, then it will be cheap. And then water will now be more valuable than gold.
So if you're mentioning that we cannot just have more money, who has the authority to print more money? Because I think the whole idea is just being created, man-made, as if it's a problem. The idea of having less money and then you have more people, you have more money.
The idea to have, the idea actually is, let me be pretty clear to you. The idea is to have less money. Who has the authority? The authority is government. But now, you see, government is wise because they know if we've got a printer, every time we need money, we're going to print it. Then they shift that responsibility to the central bank. And then the central bank now takes the entire responsibility. And then, who owns the central bank? The government can decide. In South Africa, they said no, privately owned. So that now they are distanced from government. Now government has got no access to central bank money. And in addition to that, it is not allowed in South Africa for the government to borrow from the central bank. Because if they borrow from the central bank, it's similar to printing money again.
Okay. Just can you take us through in terms of the whole process? So we have, let's create an example of someone who's working. You're working and then they collect your taxes. Where does the tax go? And then how does it end up in the hands of being utilized as a service that you actually paid for?
Yeah, you see, we call the department, well, I can call it a department, but we call it SARS. SARS is collecting money. But if you think of it, actually, SARS is a department of government. So now they collect money from, they collect tax from everywhere, like, from income tax, VAT,
From
all,
everything.
everything. Now
When
they,
you're buying, when you're selling,
yes, they collect all this.
service, everywhere they're collecting.
They collect all this. And then once they collected this money, their job is done. Because now that money must go to National Treasury. We used to call it Department of Finance. Now, in the Department of Treasury, now they will sit down and draft the budget. Remember the budget speech in February, the budget speech yes. And then that budget now, that is where they will break that down. And now to say, how do we spend this? Where do we take this amount and so on? Do we have surplus? Do we have deficit? And so on.
And then how true is it that SARS is not actually a government entity? It's a private owned entity that it has its own shareholders. I think it's over 200, if I'm not mistaken.
No, that's not true. SARS is there's no way you can own SARS. How are you going to own SARS? Because SARS is government, it's part of government. It's sort of like a department. So their responsibility is just to what do you call it? To collect taxes. And then once they collected taxes, then they must, and the SARS must report to the Minister of. Yeah, it's not, maybe you might be confusing SARS and SARP. Because SARP is something else, and then SARS is something else. Yes, SARP is a reserve bank, yeah.
Okay, so that's what I was saying. Can you take us through the whole process in terms of how it works? If this money is collected, where does it go? And then how does it end up being in the part of where it has to render a service that it was collected for?
Yes, that can be done. SARS would collect all the money, make sure that everyone pay tax.
Yes.
Every company pays tax. All foreigners, now once the money is in their hands, their job now is to take it to National Treasury. Now, Minister of Finance, Ino Kodongwan, is the one now who will allocate this money to say, this portion must go here, this portion must go there, this portion must go there. And once now people or departments got their portions, now they start using it.
Okay, and then who's the Reserve Bank? Who owns the Reserve Bank?
Now, you see now, you're bringing it. So Reserve Bank now is different from what we've been talking about.
Okay.
It's totally different because what we've been talking about, SARS, government, everything is fiscal policy.
Okay.
Now, when you talk about the Reserve Bank, now you're talking about monetary policy.
Okay.
Now, this is money. Now, monetary policy now is their main objective is to protect the value of the rand.
Okay.
And is to print the money. And that is privately owned. Can you see now where the shareholders come from? That is privately owned. And we like the idea because if maybe you were still young in 2008, 2009, 2007, when Zimbabwe got into trouble, because Zimbabwe was not like the way it is today. Zimbabwe was actually a very good economy.
Was it not the sanctions?
Well, sanctions is just part of it, but it's not really there. You see, once you break the country's financial system, it's gone.
Meaning printing more money?
Well, maybe you print more money or whatever you do to make the country's currency less valuable, then The country's gone. They don't have economy.
There's this idea that's been thrown around now that if that government can afford to give each person, I think it's 100,000 or a million a year, how would that work about? Would that be part of the inflation, and what would be the outcomes if that were to happen?
Where do you get that idea?
There's an idea that's been thrown around, especially in the news.
Okay. That is not going to, that's not even possible, because if you look at how many people we have in the country,
Okay.
how many people we have in the country, probably there are,
Let's say 50 million.
let's say 65 million.
65. Okay.
Yes, there's 65 million. And then now they will need 65 million every 65 million
Because-
times million. That will be 65 trillion. And now our GDP is not even that much. So we are not making that much. So can you see, we are not really going to, that's something that is not possible.
Because this idea, let me just get into it, because it's one of the current issues that are happening with the March and March. Someone came up with the idea that government can actually afford to give each person a million each. So now I wanted to bring it to inflation. If we're to print more money and then have inflation, what would be the effect of an ordinary citizen?
Okay, you see that's it, we go back to the first point to say, if you print more money, then our money will be cheap. So by saying the money will be cheap, it means we are losing, the money will lose its value. Yes. So which means you will need more money to pay for the same thing, right? So now if you are paying 40 rand for this, then you will maybe need 100 rand to pay for this, because now there's more money in circulation. Because the more you print money, we will have more money and then less goods and services. Now goods and services become more valuable than money. But if you've got less money, now money becomes more valuable than goods and services. Then you need less money to buy. Can you understand the process?
Yeah, but I want us to focus on how the money lose value. In a layman's language, just take a slow lap. If this bottle of water in 2023 was 9 rands.
Yes.
And then how does money lose value to make this bottle become 20 rands in 2026?
Yes, it's because of printing of money. You see what's happening is the money you print, if you have say, I'm just going to give you a very easy example, saying you've got maybe 10 bottles of water. And then each of them is 10 rand. So Reserve Bank knows well that how much they need to print for this bottle of water to circulate. They need to print 10 rand times 10 bottles.
So it's the Reserve Bank thing that...
Yes, this is a Reserve Bank that print money.
Okay.
And they will print what? They will print 100 rands.
Okay.
Now, printing 100 rand, it means each 10 rand is associated with a bottle. Now, if they print another 100 rand on top of that 100 rand, you know what's going to happen? Now they doubled money. So now each bottle now is associated with what? With 20 rand. Now, the price of the bottle now will go up to 20 rand now. And then if they double it again, and then now the bottle now will be what? Because you see, the idea is not to print money. The idea is to print money when production is going up. Because now we print 100 rand because we've got 10 bottles, that's 10 rand. So if we print if we produce another 5 bottles, now they will print another 50 rand to support the product, so that there's circulation. Now, that is not what the government is doing. What the central banks are doing, they keep on printing money without increasing production. Now, this money now, because they're just too much money in circulation. Now, that's why you see the prices now, they double and they do all these kind of things.
Okay. On that note, if they're just printing money and then they're not making an equivalent production, what is it that we can say South Africa as a nation should be producing, or is better producing better than any other country? Which savings can you say, or a product that we can say,
well, I think
better than most?
Well, I think we all know that South Africa is very good in production of gold and other minerals. Yes, that's where we're actually good at. And we are very good in production of diamond.
Okay.
You see? Yes.
So in those, would it be wise if they're actually managed by South African company or the government, if they were, what's the name, nationalized? Would it be better if they're nationalized or privately owned?
Well, I think they would be good if they are privately owned, because if they are nationalized now, it means again government will own everything. You see, what's happening is the private sector is very powerful in terms of efficiency, and government is powerful in terms of equity, just making sure that everyone gets employment and everything. But in terms of efficiency, everything becomes, inefficient, and that is why now you see all the African countries now, they come to your country, they come to South Africa. You ask yourself why? Because recently we have seen, for instance, Zimbabwe, they were, not recently, but in the past, they were taking out like other races, right? And then they wanted land. And now they have land in their hands. They own land. But now what is it that now they are doing in South Africa? Now you can see that because of what? Now they own land, everyone has got the land. Land is in the hand of government. Government can give to anyone they want. But now, if it's not privately owned, it's a problem.
So who owns the land currently in Zimbabwe?
Well,
is the government or is it the people?
Well, according to it's government and people, it's all of them, I think.
Who's supposed to own the land, actually? Who's supposed to govern? Let me put it like that.
Well, I will give my view on this one.
Yeah.
So it can be different from yours. Who's supposed to govern? Maybe I would say in Africa. Who's supposed to govern in Africa? What I can say there is, I think we need efficiency. So, it's a difficult question. We need efficiency because just look at how South Africa is managed. South Africa is managed, I can say, well. That is why all people are coming to South Africa. And why people are coming to South Africa is because that is where the opportunities are, because of the way the economy runs. But now this economy cannot accommodate everyone from everywhere. Okay. And that is why now our economy collapses. It's not because of poor management, it's because of pressure. It comes from everyone from everywhere. Because now everyone in Africa want to be in South Africa because of that. So if you look in South Africa, who owns the land now, probably maybe you can actually work out some answer to your question.
I think we know who owns the lands in South Africa. It's mostly whites. But on the same note, I wanted to make a follow-up on the fact that you mentioned that the Reserve Bank is actually owned, it's privately owned. In terms of the misuse of funds, if I remember correctly, you had said that the collection of taxes is done by SARS and then goes to the Reserve Bank. Is that correct?
No, it goes to National Treasury.
National Treasury. And then how does it end up to the Reserve Bank?
No, it does not end up. The Reserve Bank is some independent institution. So it's sitting there. What it makes, it just, its job, or its mandate is to make sure that every time there's additional production, they inject some additional money. So that there's a circulation.
Printing money.
They are the ones who are printing money. And then they are the ones who are minting the coins.
Owned.
They are privately owned. Yeah, they are privately owned.
And then who's in charge to guide or to make sure that the policies or the development of policies in terms of making sure that the misuse is not there, in terms of if it's privately owned, why can't their shareholders make more money for themselves and then use it in the same environment that we are in if they're not under the government?
Well, I'm not saying it's not under the government, because all I'm saying is that the government do not want to take that responsibility. Remember, when we started, I did mention that actually the Reserve Bank is a government institution. So therefore, the government is the one that is doing what? The government is the one that is printing money, actually. But now, what happens? They know that if they print money, there's going to be a lot of inefficiencies. There's going to be a lot of corruption involved. Now, they take that responsibility, they shift it to the central bank, and then they now have to decide whether they become the owner of the bank or not. And they say, no, we are not the owner of the bank. But the bank is still given the mandate by the government. Because the Reserve Bank is also, they have this mandate from government, from National Treasury, to say, this is what you need to do. This is where we need inflation to be. And then this is where we need our rent to be, and all these kind of things. So they are just coming up with independent policies, but to achieve the objectives of the government.
Okay.
So yes. So now you need, when you look at this, you must understand that the Reserve Bank, they are not producing anything. All they are doing is what? Just printing money. And then they are the ones who are minting the coins. They are the ones who are printing money. So just to make sure that we've got enough money in circulation. And then if there's a lot of inflation, they must use the tools to come and reduce this money. And then when there's a lot of deflation, they must use their tools to come and increase this money. That's all they're doing.
The shareholders in the Reserve Bank, do you have maybe an idea where they come from? Who are they?
Yeah. Well, okay. I do have an idea. A lot of our shareholders are foreigners.
Okay.
The people are coming from America. They're coming from Europe. They're coming from, like from Germany and so on. They own. We have some South Africans who are also owning this. But
individuals.
Yeah, they're individuals. Yes. Yeah, they're individuals. If you are a shareholder, you become an individual.
Yeah.
But if you check, the Reserve Bank, they never made any loss. They're always making profit. And then these shareholders are supposed to be making money every time.
Okay.
But they are not.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's a law which says they cannot give each of them. I'm not sure if it's 2,000 rand. I think that's the maximum they can get in a year. You cannot get beyond that. Mm-hmm. So now, which means the entire profit again, they take it and then they send it to National Treasury again.
Okay.
Yes.
You shifted the blame from the government and said that the economy is strained, not because the government is ineffective, but it's because it's been loaded with more individuals who are actually consuming from those resources. If the people who are actually paying taxes stopped paying taxes on that assumption that there are people who are coming through and misusing the services they're supposed to be getting, what will happen?
Well, I mean, that question is the same as if you stop working today, you close your business today, what is going to happen to you?
No, what will happen to the system?
Yes, because now there's no income. You see, what is tax?
Uh-huh.
Tax is the main source of government revenue. So when we talk about government revenue, we talk about tax. So if you stop paying tax, then there's no money in circulation. Then there's no settlement. Because if you want to know whether the government is making surplus or deficit, you say tax minus government spending. Now it would be like someone who is unemployed. No, our government will be unemployed. In the short run, it's going to be good. In a very, very short run. You know why? Because many people will have increasing their salaries. Their salaries will go up by the tax amount. And then companies will start producing. But what will happen? No one is going to fix our roads. No one will bring in their lives. Now there's no one to come and collect all these travel and whatever, all these things. And very soon, we collapse as a country.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
I don't like the idea of always, when speaking of jobs for Black people, we always speak of the smaller jobs like the collecting of beans.
Yeah.
Because in my head,
yeah,
what Africa is becoming, we're becoming a bunch of a labor force to these foreign companies and you're serving their interest. They are just here to collect profits. For instance, what we mentioned about the Reserve Bank being the shareholders all being foreigners. You said all.
Not almost.
Yeah, most.
Yeah.
It was in my head when I was asking if it's individuals. I thought maybe government, the South African government, will have a stake in it. Probably 50%, if not more, as they're representing the people of South Africa. But then I want to go back to what seems to be the burning issue, because everything seems to be revolving around it. The issue of, the example that was made was of a hotel that I got from someone, is that if you have a hotel and then you pay, you should pay your taxes, whatever that you pay your taxes, and then you utilize the room. So the resources in the room hotel would be what the government gives in return of your taxes. So how can you redesign, or is there a way that you wish to redesign the whole system, but at the same time trying to protect the people who are actually paying the taxes? The taxes, yes.
You see, the problem is we all agree on one thing. In South Africa, there's a problem. And the problem is big. Now, you can see that everyone is crossing very dangerous rivers to come to our country. But there's no South African who's crossing anything to go anywhere.
Yeah.
Why? Because their economy is fine. But now, you cannot benefit from this fine economy. You know why? Because now the economy is overloaded with everyone from everyone. And now when you look at the government and you try to see what will government do? It seems that they don't even have a solution. That is why people now will go to the street and say, now we want to make it clear to government what we need. And now we know. You see, you don't even need to be a rocket scientist now to know what South Africans want. South Africans now, they want two things. One, South Africans, they want white people.
They want white people.
Yes, I'm telling you that now they want white people in that country. What South Africans do not want, they do not want legal immigrants. I mean, you have seen them in the past 2 weeks that they were chasing people everywhere. Did you see them chasing any one white person? Do you see them? Did you see them stopping any white person, asking them if they are illegal in the country or not?
Can it depend the place?
Well, I'm just saying, you know what I was just saying here? I was just saying to you that actually there are two things that we want, maybe, that we made clear that we want. So first thing is that
white is that they want employment.
Yes, with what they want employment. Okay. With what they want employment. And let me tell you something, you know, like I'm coming from economics background.
Yeah.
And you must always understand that it's always trade-off.
Okay.
With white people, you get jobs. And then you lose land. Ownership of land. And that is the choice that South Africans are making. They're saying, no, we better lose our land. Because in March and March, I never had not even one of them saying, no, I want a piece of my land. There's no one who complained about it. They don't want land. Now, what does that mean? It means that these guys, they better give their land to white people in exchange for jobs, which is the opposite of what Zimbabweans did. Zimbabweans now, they chose their land as opposed to jobs. Now, most of white people from Zimbabwe became South Africa. But now, everyone now is following them. Can you see? Can you see now, which means their choice was not really a very good one. Because now they are following the very people that they chased out of their country.
Isn't it sort of like a meta perspective? Because it's a different way of looking at it. So after chasing these guys who were offering jobs, so were they not just declining, which will not be your labor? I think Zimbabweans are actually smarter than South Africans.
In terms of,
look at it, if they were refusing to be laborers and serving their interest and said, we'll take care of our own.
Yes, which is good.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Are they not being the smarter ones?
No.
Winning off the long run?
No, I think South Africans are smarter than them. Because if you are smarter than me, you will find me in your land. I cannot find you in my land.
But Nigerians that are fighting and so on.
Well, but if you really look at this without being xenophobic or anything, people, like how many Zimbabweans are in South Africa? We don't know them. How many Nigerians are in South Africa? In South Africa, we don't know the number, but we know that there are in millions. Even Zimbabweans are in millions. One of my friends used to say, when I was still a student, used to tell me that there are more Zimbabweans in South Africa than in Zimbabwe. You know, like, so you need to really understand that. And that is what people need to be honest with themselves. What do we want? Who gives us jobs in South Africa? Do we get jobs from black people? Do we get them from white people? And then why is Zimbabwean economy the way it is now? It's not producing any job, but you know, like unless if maybe there's something that I do not see or I do not know. But the reason why you see people coming to South Africa but not saying South Africa go to Zimbabwe, because before then South Africans were going to Zimbabwe.
Which one is more important, the employment or the ownership?
Well, I think what is important is livelihood.
Yeah.
And now, if you cannot buy bread every day, what? I mean, in your own land, you have land, but you cannot buy bread every day. So what is that?
Why not use the land to produce the bread?
That's the question that you need to go and ask other people.
Yeah.
Not myself, because you know I made my position very clear. I made my position very clear because you see the problem is we really need to, before we take a land, we need to know what we are going to do with the land. We need to know what you see the economy of South Africa and the economy of Kenya is actually more or less the same. If you go around looking for Kenyan in South Africa, they are not there. You know why? Because they took the same. It's the same thing we are doing here. That our land is better be in the hands of whites, and then we will work for them. And that is exactly what Kenya is doing. But people who take their own land, look what's happening in Nigeria, look what's happening in Zimbabwe, and you don't want to be there. especially Nigeria now. You don't want to be there. There are a lot of problems. The problems are, so it's just unfortunate that we cannot talk about these things, because if you talk about them, it's like you are talking bad about Africans, but it's not talking bad about it. We're just talking about choices. And the choices is what we made. We are saying, we've seen South Africans millions marching. I was even surprised to see so many people in South Africa marching. But now, if you see all these South Africans marching, you would actually expect them to look for their land. But they don't want their land. They just want the foreigners out.
I think maybe you're right, because I don't think they have a plan. If we get the land, what we want to do, but with the jobs, it's clear. I serve you, you give me money, and then livelihood, as you mentioned.
Yeah.
So there's progress there.
Yeah, because the mistake that people are doing is, you see, the mistake that people are doing is to think that South Africans don't want white people. Actually, South Africans want white people more than they want themselves.
I think
We protect them.
it's a matter of mindset and understanding, and because it always goes back to the education. So the education has not prepared us to, if we were to get land, and then what do we do with it tomorrow? But with employment, if we get employment, we know that I'll be able to have a good credit score, as I mentioned. So if I have a good credit score, I qualify to get a bond, I get a house, I get a phone. I pay those bills, and then I die, and that's it. So it's a cycling that has been created, and then we all hit with it. But the idea of, if I get land today, then what is the plan? There's no plan. So I wanted to take it to the education system, because I always look at it with, it's not preparing us for nothing else but to be laborers.
You see, as the problem is, the problem might be government, because government must look at their people. What is it that our people want? You cannot force people to say they want what they do not want. We are fine with that, with our freedom. Our freedom, we are fine with it. And then now we even have the, what do you call this government of national unity. People are very happy with government of national unity. So all they don't want, and that is what people don't want, and that's what they're demonstrating now, that we do not want this. People do not want, and I'm not even going to say illegal immigrant, because when they were on strike, they were saying
Black.
they do not blacks. They don't want, like, yeah, well, maybe let's just put it that way, because that's what you are saying. Let's put it that way. That's what they don't want. And they made it clear. So now, that is the duty of the government. Now to go back and say, what do we do in this case? And this is the government of the people. Because now they made it clear that no, whatever that is being said, we go against all these things, and then we want to demonstrate that, we show people that no, we don't want land. People don't want land. There's no one who ever talked about land. And much, and I'm sure if you can look at all their papers, they don't want land. There's no one who's talking about any land. They are talking about jobs. They are smiling with the Europeans and the Americans. And then they are very, very angry at anyone from everywhere else.
Okay. In terms of how the taxation system should work, because now it's clear that we are adopting the Europeans and the Americans. Should we have more taxation on their companies than we have on individuals?
Well, I don't think it's a good idea to have. I don't think tax system in South Africa is a big problem. But the only problem that I have with the tax system is VAT. Because VAT is regressive. When you talk about regressive tax, it's VAT. And which means,
You're saying regressive?
Regressive, it means that those who are earning less, they pay more.
Oh, okay.
And then those who are earning more, they pay less in terms of percentage to their income.
Okay.
So now it's regressive. Rich people, they don't feel that, but poor people, they feel it a lot. Now, in terms of, now people are saying, no, but our tax system in South Africa, we're using progressive tax, because they talk about the income tax, but they forget VAT.
Wait, sir. Can I just run a few steps back? Can you take us through with him? How many taxes are they? Just mention, like you're mentioning VAT. VAT is charged on goods.
Okay, let me just give you the main ones.
Almost.
Let me do 5. Well, maybe we can give the top 5.
Okay.
But let me give you the main one. The first one is income tax.
Okay.
And income tax the one that you pay as you earn. That is progressive because the more you earn, the more you pay. Those who are earning less, they pay little, which is very good. And then we've got company tax. Company tax or corporate tax. That's what they call it. They call it corporate tax. Now, corporate tax now is proportional because now all of them, they pay 27%. Now it's 27% in South Africa. I know that it went down, which makes it better. Like South Africa is a better place to start your companies.
Okay.
Because we want companies to come in, right? Okay. But we don't want foreign people to come in. Now, can you see what we don't want? Can you see? Wait, takes you. Because we want foreign direct investment, but we don't want foreigners. Because they did not say illegal immigrant. They will say now all the people who are not South Africans, they must go out. Yes. So now, and then we've got VAT.
Okay.
VAT now is the one that you pay on goods and services.
Everyone's paying.
So now everyone is paying the same.
Yeah.
So that's why we say it's regressive, because if you earn 10 rand a day and tax you pay 4 rand, that's 40% of your income. But someone who's earning 1 million, still pay 4 rand. And now that is nothing. That's 0.0000. So now it's zero each one. Can you see? And then we also have this, what they call it, excise duty.
Exercise duty.
Yes, that one I think is on foreign goods, something like that. Those tax that you pay on imports.
Okay.
Yeah. Then that one now, obviously, if the government want to protect companies within the borders of the country, they can just increase it so that foreign goods become expensive. And then in that way, then they will be able to do that. Then they've got wealth tax and so on. So there are so many after those ones, but the main three ones will be income tax.
Yes.
It will be company tax.
Income tax? 28%.
No, income tax.
Yes.
No, it's progressive. So the more you earn, the more you pay. Yeah, you pay as you earn. Yes. So which means other people are not paying anything because they earn below a certain threshold, so they're not paying anything. Sometimes like that. Yeah. Yeah. So VAT. Maybe you want to ask about VAT. VAT is 15%. So yes.
Okay, and then what do we call this one for the toll gate fees? Where does that fall under?
Oh, the toll fees. Yeah. That's the toll fees. That's what I call it, toll fees.
Okay.
Yes. So
toll fees.
That's what I would call it. I'm not sure if you've got another name.
No, I don't have another name.
Yeah. So then that is what it is.
Okay,
but you can't say it's tax.
Okay.
Yeah, because
it doesn't fall under tax.
Well, it's just some other government revenue as well, but it's not really tax.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. I think before we come to the end of the shoot, you mentioned about us not being ready to build a united Africa. Maybe just elaborate in detail.
Okay. Yeah. Let me say we are not ready to build United Nation of Africa. United States of Africa. We can't because we don't want. But what actually I can give advice to other countries is to learn from South Africa, because South Africa is doing well, and they actually have systems that are working. They can learn from all the systems that are working, so that when they take their people out of South Africa, they have systems in their environments as well. Because the way I understand it myself and the way I see it happening, what we are going to have in the future is not going to be United States of Africa. It's going to be United States in Africa, in South Africa actually. Because now everyone wants to be in South Africa. When we achieve that goal, ultimately, everyone's going to be in South Africa. And people are saying, no, that's not going to be the case. That is going to be the case. Because the reason why people don't want African in South Africa is because now we've got more. We've got millions from each country. I mean, I never knew that we got so many Malawians in South Africa. I see many of them there in Durban.
Yeah.
And I honestly didn't know that we have so many Malawians in South Africa. But now if you check and you ask yourself, how many Kenyan, people from Kenya do we have in South Africa? There are very few. But now if you want to find the reason and you go and check their systems, it's the same like ours. Their country is the same like this one. People there, they have a lot of ownership from the other side, not from the other side. And that is exactly what I'm telling you now.
So, okay. Am I safe to say that you are saying much and much, there are certain things that they are doing right, there are certain things that are not doing right? For instance, you said we cannot build a united Africa in South Africa. But the one thing that they're not doing right is that they're not chasing white.
Well, I'm not saying they must go and chase white. Because if you go and chase white, now you go and again, you go and destroy the system that is giving you jobs. Because you see, if you destroy, because you see, black people are saying you are taking our jobs. But who is giving them those jobs? Isn't it white people?
Mostly white, yeah.
Mostly white. So now if you're going to chase white, now you are chasing that source of those jobs. So I like your point when you were saying, no, our jobs are like all these small, things. We are just laborers and all these kind of things. But we need to be honest with ourselves. There is no way we are going to own all these big things, all of us. We still have majority of people in rural areas who are unemployed. We have majority of people who cannot even do anything for themselves. And when they are coming to urban areas, because that's where we go, and when we know what we are going to do in urban areas, we're going to join the firms from white, obviously. And now when we are joining those ones, we are now facing multitude of people, majority of people now coming from other countries. And then most of them taking or accepting very, very low wages. And that is why now you see much and much. So the message that the much and much is sending is good. But the problem is the way in which they want to fit. They want to end it now. They just want to march today and then next week there must be no one. And that is not going to be possible because we have people who own things. We've got people who are here legally. We've got people who are not even supposed to go because they are scarce skills. We've got, we've got all these kind of things. Otherwise, the way they are doing it, if they become successful within 2 weeks, then we might even be Western Zimbabwe there.
Is that your forecast in terms of what the impact it could have?
Yes. Especially looking at most of the scarce skills. Because now, remember, if they start saying all foreigners out, now all foreigners will have to be out because now they will come and take them out. And then now you look at the key positions that they are holding. Because like getting into those things, you have to go gradually. They have to train you now and they have to groom you until we see that you can take the position. So we can't just say, no, go out and then we're looking for, now here we are looking for an engineer and then put the engineer there without any experience or necessary experience. So that's what I am saying now. But what I like about this now is that the government heard the message and now they are going around looking for illegal immigrants. And that is actually solving the problem now. The problem now is because you cannot be in a country where there are so many people who are undocumented. That is not acceptable.
So thank you very much. We really appreciate the chance to learn and unlearn, and we hope that we'll get another chance to relearn. Any last words before we close?
Yeah, no, thank you very much for this. I also learned quite a lot from your questions and from yourself. And then to South Africans, I can actually just say, I believe that the government actually got the message. So we must just give it and maybe give them some times to, to make some corrections. Thank you.
Okay. Before we close, the questions that we ask, normally you have to forgive us. Maybe we're supposed to start with apologizing before we ask the questions. We were taught the idea of questioning everything. Hence, I'll mention the system, the credit score, the education system, almost everything, including how the economic systems are working in the country. We are the type of people who want to question each and everything. Why is this done? Isn't there a better way of doing it? So that is what the platform aims to achieve, to ask more questions and then get answers as you honored us with your presence, and we really appreciate it. To those who watched, I noticed that we have more viewership than you have more subscribers. May you please just take a chance after watching, just make sure that you subscribe and like and follow and comment and say whatever you want to say. Thank you very much. See you on the next one.